Welcome to TV Tennessee Valley Church. This week we are on the amazing campus of the University of North Alabama, UNA. On such a beautiful fall day, on such a peaceful campus, it's easy to forget the violence erupting in other key parts of the world. On February 24, 2022, Ukraine was invaded by Russia. At the orders of a ruthless and irresponsible dictator, Russian troops crossed into the sovereign territory of Ukraine. 11,000 Ukrainian citizens have been killed, as have been tens and tens of thousands of Russian and Ukrainian soldiers. Now, I'm neither a political nor military expert, but there seems to be no clear end in sight. Then on October 7, 2023, Hamas terrorists rained down missiles on southern Israel, and then the terrorists emerged from the underground tunnels and even dropped from the air with their guns and knives in hand, massacring 1,400 Israelis and taking more than 200 men, women, and children hostage. Israel has responded with bombings of Gaza, of course, targeting Hamas, and over 5,000 people have been killed. Israel is now under threat of Hezbollah from Lebanon to its north and is defending its border there. In the background are Iran and Syria and the threat they pose to world peace. The Middle East is a complicated place. In 2009, I spent an entire day on the West Bank with a Palestinian Christian. He was born in Bethlehem and said to me, "Those were my ancestors watching their flocks the night the angels appeared." The Palestinian man shared his perspective on the Israeli-Palestinian question. He described the difficult conditions in the Palestinian territory. On that trip, I also spent the day with an Israeli man talking specifically about his perspective on the Israeli-Palestinian situation. He described the land of Israel as the land of promise and explained how an actual Palestinian state would threaten Israel's security. After those two conversations, it was clear to me why political leaders have been unable to reach a solution for the Middle East crisis, although they've been working on it for decades. The realities behind the region's tensions are complex, but when terrorists attack innocent civilians, kill hundreds and take hostages, that's not complicated. It's evil and horrific and painful. Some believe the attack on Israel by Hamas is a sign that the end of time is drawing near. In some theories about the end of time, Israel plays a central role. For that reason, every major event involving Israel is viewed by many as the potential beginning of the end. People have thought similar thoughts for decades. For example, the establishment of the State of Israel in 1948 was interpreted by some as the so-called budding of the fig tree, of which Jesus spoke in Matthew 24. There, Jesus was speaking about the end of time as we know it, and he spoke of the symbol or metaphor of a fig tree budding. When it buds, Jesus says, the end will come in that generation. We don't know what Jesus was talking about with that budding of the fig tree, but many believed he was referencing the establishment of Israel in 1948. Since a generation is generally interpreted as 40 years, many believed 1988 would be the end of time. Of course, that year passed, as have a multitude of predicted dates, and the prognosticators had to backpedal. Is this recent attack on Israel a sign that Jesus is soon returning and that the end is near? I don't know. People have made erroneous predictions before. But one day, history as we know it will come to its God-planned conclusion. I'm stepping off into mysterious waters now, talking about the culmination of history. And I do so recognizing that the symbolic language of the Bible is hard to interpret. But there is coming a day, an end to time as we know it. One of the most important truths of the Christian faith is that ultimately God is in control and eventually He will fulfill His purposes for the world. I know it seems our planet is in chaos from which there can be no recovery, that we've headed down destructive paths from which there's no return. But God has not abandoned His creation. And one day God will make things right. History is not meandering pointlessly. History is not wandering aimlessly. History is headed toward a culmination point. In the rotunda of the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C., appears this quote from Tennyson: "One God, one law, one element, and one far-off divine event to which the whole creation moves." There is indeed one event toward which the whole creation is moving, and that event is when all will be set straight and made right. Nothing more certain appears in the pages of Holy Scripture. I need to say that it won't be all handshakes and high fives on that day. There's a richness to God's love, yes. There's a wideness and an amazingness to His mercy. But there's also a fierceness to His justice, and things are going to be made right on that day. That's a sobering thought.
History is not meandering pointlessly. History is not wandering aimlessly. History is headed toward a culmination point. Although the timing and details are unknown, the God-planned climax of history is certain. Right now, though, we live in the meantime of history. We live in the not yet. And in this meantime, humans have the capacity for tremendous evil. Thus, our world, like the world of Habakkuk, is often in conflict and often witnesses horrible atrocities. Within the lifetime of some people watching this, some truly evil persons have done terrible things. From Germany's Adolf Hitler and his concentration camps to Cambodia's Pol Pot and his killing fields. And lots of us remember right where we were when we witnessed the horror of September 11, 2001, and the terrorist attack on our soil. We remember February 24th, 2022, with Russia's invasion of Ukraine. We remember October 7, 2023, with Hamas's attack on Israel. By the way, the very morning I'm taping this, an article appeared in the Wall Street Journal about the terror of Hamas, and the article is titled, "Your Periodic Reminder That Evil is Real." Evil is real. And I believe that behind such terrible things as terrorism, rape, and child abuse is an evil being, which the Bible calls, among other things, the evil one. Evil is real, and humans have the capacity for horrendous evil. God gives to every human what theologians call free will, the human ability to choose. And if one can choose good, there must be an alternative, evil. Even so, why does God, with His perfect foresight, not simply prohibit the births of monstrous men? Why does He not intervene to prohibit those grisly acts which they commit? I don't know. But I trust God anyway. I still don't know. I simply know that evil is real and humans have the capacity for horrendous evil.
Sometimes it feels like God is not listening when we plead with Him to stop the madness. The feeling that God is not paying attention is not new. The Hebrew prophet Habakkuk began his book like this: "How long, Lord, must I call for help, but you do not listen? Or cry out to you violence, but you do not save? Why do you make me look at injustice? Why do you tolerate wrongdoing? Destruction and violence are before me. There's strife and conflict abounds." Sounds like he could have said that today, right? Well, that's not the only time the Bible records tough questions about God. God doesn't always live up to our expectations or react according to our timelines. Disappointment with God is neither new nor rare. So what do we do with that disappointment? We could lower our expectations. We could decide that if we don't expect much from God, we won't be disappointed. That's a wrong response. The wise and mature response is to trust our good Father. That is the right response. Trust. In a few minutes, I'll be back with the most important part of my message to you: what it means to trust God in a world so painfully violent and chaotic.
I love you, Lord. Oh, your mercy never fails me. all my days I've been held in your hands. From the moment that I wake up until I lay my head, I will sing of the goodness of God. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. I love your voice. You have led me through the fire in darkest night. You are close like no other. I've known you as a father. I've known you as a friend. And I have lived in the goodness of God. Oh, and all my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, and I will sing of the goodness of God. Oh, and your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. With my life laid down, I surrender now. I give you everything. And your goodness is running after me. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I make, I will sing of the goodness of God. I will sing of the goodness of God.
Dr. Kenneth Kits is the president at the University of North Alabama. Dr. Kits, thank you for joining us, and thank you for letting TV Church come to the campus today.
Thank you, Lisa. My pleasure to be with you.
It's always a good day to be on this campus.
Indeed it is.
I'm an alum. Won't talk about what year I graduated, but it's always good to come back.
Glad to have you back.
Dr. Kits, you have records that you're celebrating here. Record enrollment,
Yeah,
record retention, record fundraising. You've been here, this is your 9th year,
correct.
and you've almost doubled enrollment here.
Yeah, we're thrilled with where the university is at. We feel like we're on a great trajectory. This fall enrollment will be north of 10,500 students. That is almost double in a 10-year period. Also, if you look at it, we've been growing faster than any Alabama university over the last 10 years. But the point we're making is that in addition to the numerical growth, our quality, our excellence is really being showcased right now too. Everything from new doctoral programs, growth in the Honors College, fundraising success, I could go on.
Well, mention the doctoral program.
Yeah,
you said
sure.
You just graduated your first PhD.
Yeah, so as you know, we're the oldest four-year university in the state of Alabama. And this past May, we graduated our first ever doctoral candidate in our 193-year history, which was pretty incredible. Dr. Kyle Reason received his PhD in exercise science. We now have 3 total doctoral programs in operation, so we'll have additional doctoral candidates graduating this December. A 4th is in the pipeline in social work. This brings us to a whole different level as a doctoral degree granting institution.
In D1 sports,
Yeah.
that has really added, accelerated growth for UNA.
There's no question. It gives us a different group of peers. We made that decision back in 2017, joined the ASUN conference in 2018, and last year, for the first time, we became what they call a full and active member of the Division I ranks, which means you're no longer in transition, no longer on probation. And it's beautiful to watch our programs get their legs under them and compete very well at this level.
So Travis is talking about unrest in the Middle East.
Yeah.
And a tough time.
Interesting times in which we live,
Yes.
to be sure. I think college campuses play a special and maybe a unique role in our society, is giving folks an opportunity to talk through issues, talk through problems in an arena in which reason, tolerance, are key values. We recently celebrated on our own campus the 60th anniversary of the integration of this campus and the arrival of Wendell Gunn as the first student of color on this campus. This campus in 1963 handled integration as only the second campus in Alabama to do that with great dignity. Wendell had a good experience here. Wendell went on to graduate here. Wendell's back now as a member of the Board of Trustees of this university. And I ask the question often, name me one other college anywhere in the country where the student who broke the color barrier returns to sit on the Board of Trustees. I think we're absolutely unique here, but it's a wonderful story, not only about Wendell and his character, but about the campus and how we came together to solve that one issue, that one problem back in 1963. And I think we can extrapolate from that to the issues of today.
A lot's changed here in almost 200 years, about to celebrate the bicentennial.
Yeah. So our bicentennial comes up in 2030, and I've told my colleagues on campus that if we don't make that a multi-year celebration, a multi-year run-up, shame on us, because that's great news. We'll be the first university in Alabama to be able to announce and celebrate a bicentennial, so it's going to be a party.
We'll be back for that.
Good.
Thank you, Dr. Kits.
Thank you, Lisa. Welcome.
From Ukraine to Israel to the pain and chaos you might be experiencing, we wonder why God, if He is good and powerful, why He doesn't do something. Frankly, sometimes we find ourselves disappointed with God. So what do we do with that disappointment? Corrie ten Boom once said, "When the train goes through a tunnel and it gets dark, you don't throw away the ticket and jump off. You sit still and trust the conductor." That's a good word. Trusting the love and goodness of God is our best option in a dark and frightening world. The appropriate and mature response to our fears, disappointments, and unanswered questions is the choice, the willful, hard choice to trust God with all our hearts. I often remember the faith of the late Nancy Avery. Nancy and her husband Paul were members of the first church I served, a wonderful congregation in rural Kentucky. I lent Nancy my copy of the Screwtape Letters by C.S. Lewis. The Screwtape Letters is a fictional collection of letters from Screwtape, a senior demon in hell, to his nephew Wormwood, a junior demon roaming the earth. The letters contain advice to the young demon and how to keep people away from the loving influence of God. So I lent the book to Nancy, who had known a number of life's struggles. She was a deep thinker. And when she returned the book, I noticed that she had written, in the margin of one page. Next to the comment by Nancy were these words from Screwtape, the senior demon, to Wormwood, the junior demon. "Our cause is never more in danger than when a human looks around upon a universe from which every trace of God seems to have vanished and asks why He has been forsaken and still obeys." Hear that again. Our cause is never more in danger than when a human looks around upon a universe from which every trace of God seems to have vanished and asks why He has been forsaken and still obeys. Faith is a choice to be faithful even when we wonder why God seems to have vanished. Faith is a choice to believe even when God seems, not to be paying attention. And here's the good news. God is worthy of our trust. God is trustworthy. On the pages of Scripture, there's proof after proof that God is trustworthy. At the center of history, there's a cross and an empty tomb that prove God is trustworthy. In my life, and I'm guessing in yours, there is indisputable evidence. God is trustworthy. He does not always conform to our expectations or respond to our demands, but God is trustworthy. His ways are not our ways, but God is trustworthy. That is enough to get you through a depressing newscast. God is trustworthy. That is enough to get you through a long night. God is trustworthy. That is enough to calm a troubled heart. God is trustworthy. A few moments ago, we heard the prophet Habakkuk begin his book by lamenting the violence and chaos and wondering why God didn't do something. But Habakkuk ended his book with a declaration of his trust in God. Habakkuk declared, no matter what casualty, calamity, or catastrophe I experience, I will rejoice in the Lord. I will claim that the Lord is my strength. Some of us could take a lesson from Habakkuk. We can choose to trust the wisdom, power, love, and even timing of Almighty God, even in the chaos. God is trustworthy. One day, God will set things right. And in the meantime, He's got the whole world. In His hands, He's got the whole world. In His hands, He's got the whole world. In His hands, He's got the whole world in His hands.
Everybody here in His hands. Thanks for joining with us today. If you're new to TV Church, my name is Aaron Jackson, and I'm the Minister of Music and Worship at First Baptist Huntsville. We'd like to invite you to one of our 2 worship services here at 600 Governors Drive. Our contemporary service is at 8:05 a.m. on Sunday, or here in the sanctuary at 10:30 a.m. We'd love for you to connect with others that join you in watching this program every week as well. The best way to make those connections would be for you to go to tvchurch.online. Once there, you can hit the Contact Us button on the left-hand side to start that process. This is also where you can begin to connect with our shared online community, submit prayer requests, watch more episodes, and find other helpful resources. Thanks again for joining us today. God bless you.